Hello, and welcome to another video on the big answer, the single biggest answer to life's biggest questions. If you haven't, please start with the video Book 1, Intro to the Big Answer, and watch the previous chapters as we'll be referencing those in this video. In the last video, we covered how evolution selects for organisms that have value systems aligned with the 7 qualities. This supports the first claim of the big answer, which is that any value system anything holds must, at the very least, put the 7 qualities as the highest values, since if any other value undermined them, the holder of that value system, and therefore the value system itself, would cease to exist. In this video, we're going to look at how these same qualities can jump off the page and explain values that have nothing to do with existence. In this way, the big answer makes the second, much larger, and possibly impossible to prove claim that it explains all our, what you could call, top-tier values. That is, we do value some things like drinking excessively or speeding or smoking or eating unhealthy food, but we generally say it's bad that we find these things good. Even love isn't immune. If someone is in a relationship that is unhealthy, but they stay in it anyway, we say they're blinded by love. So in all these cases, it's because the 7 qualities are decreased that makes liking these things bad. This second, much larger claim, that the 7 qualities explain all our highest values, can probably never be fully proven. It will take a lot of testing and reflection, etc., by tons of people in many different fields of study before it could even start to be accepted as something like a theory. However, it can totally be falsified just by finding such a top-tier value that can't be shown to increase the 7 qualities either today or for our ancestors, since if it used to be good, that would explain why we evolved it. Since we can't prove this second claim, the goal in this short introductory level video is just to show that the 7 qualities objectively necessary to exist can indeed explain subjective preferences and values that don't relate to existence at all. We'll of course go into much more detail in future videos. Let's get started. The most important thing to understand right away is that we didn't evolve an understanding of the qualities that helped us survive, only subjective instincts and preferences that generally increased them. The reason this is important is because this is what lets these qualities eventually apply to things that aren't survival related. If we had evolved to directly understand what improved our survival and what didn't, this wouldn't have happened. Let's just start with order as an example. Obviously, understanding the order of the natural world was beneficial for our ancestors, and they only bothered seeking that out because they had a natural curiosity and drive to understand the things they saw, and got a little buzz of a reward when they finally made sense of it. Social order, keeping your belongings organized, etc., are extensions of this as well that would have led to social cohesion and not losing necessary gear. Understanding the seasons and weather patterns, knowing the migration routes of the animals they hunted, and when various fruits, roots, mushrooms, etc. were going to be ready to harvest, knowing how fires worked, how rocks flake to make tools, how to navigate by the stars or use them to tell the passage of time, etc. were all things that helped our ancestors survive. Twisting grasses into patterns for the fun of it led to inventing rope, which enabled traps and bowstrings. Weaving and knotting together ropes for fun invented fabrics and nets. This same curiosity and drive to experiment, manipulate and understand also led us to weave patterns we found more visually appealing, create artwork, and discover musical instruments, jewelry, etc. The neural pathways that invented pottery to carry water and store food also enjoyed making clay figurines and flutes. The point here is that there's no separate, special part of our brains that applied this quality of order to survival and a separate part of our brains that enjoys alphabetizing your books, creating games, rhymes, singing, jokes, poetry, organizing cupboards, etc. It was a package deal. Let's take one more random one. I rolled a die and got stability, which as a reminder is the ability for something to resist deterioration, not being rigid or inflexible or static, as resisting deterioration may require being flexible, adaptable, and open to change. From a survival perspective, having a subjective preference for planning ahead, figuring out how to make more reliable tools and clothing, having backups of necessary items, and preferring reliable, predictable people if you're going to be dependent on them. Humans have required social groups to survive for millennia, are all preferences for stability that improve one's ability to survive. From a non-survival perspective, we get our photos printed with non-fading ink and paper. We feel bad when our houseplants die. We value family or cultural recipes that have been handed down over the generations. We appreciate mechanical watches that keep precise time and that will keep working for decades. We expect people/organizations to keep promises. Trust, in general, is based on perceived stability. We hate it when our phones crash or an item we bought wears out or breaks too quickly. We're going to stop there because I think the point is made. Survival alone doesn't explain many of the things we value, but breaking it down into the 7 qualities does. This doesn't prove this model works, it just proves it doesn't not. Yeah. Let's look at one profession and how it relates to the 7 qualities, and then we'll look at how this applies to meaning, purpose, fulfillment, etc. When it comes to professions enhancing the 7 qualities, it all starts with école teachers. They enhance order by teaching kids how to emotionally regulate, resolve conflicts, conform to social norms and expectations, and how to make sense of their world. They increase complexity by increasing their knowledge, abilities, and skills. Teachers foster a sense of stability with routine, establishing expectations, enforcing rules and fairness, mediating interpersonal interactions, etc. Distinctiveness is enhanced at multiple levels, at the individual level by helping students discover their unique talents, strengths, and personality, and also as a member of distinct social groups, such as their graduating class, school, community, and country. Discussing dynamics starts to get into how the big answer explains truth, which isn't covered until well into book 3, but we'll touch on it here briefly. Much of learning is not just knowing individual facts, it's about how they relate and interact, how to use them together to achieve a goal, whether that's the dynamic interactions of numbers in math, or words in language, or pieces of wood and hardware coming together in woodworking class. Students' resourcefulness is increased both as they learn skills that will eventually set them up in a profession where they can earn money, and also as they learn how to find information, connect with people, and problem solve. And of course, they only have limited resources of time, so must be efficient in doing all of the above. You can do this with any profession. Some preserve the 7 qualities, such as janitors, maintenance workers, police officers, etc., and other professions limit the amount of deterioration, such as ER doctors and firefighters. We can also do this outside work with anything we do, from rescuing puppies to gardening. As mentioned in the intro, we find meaning through any profession or other endeavor that enhances or preserves the 7 qualities or limits their deterioration. To the extent we do this defines our success and gives us a sense of accomplishment. When we feel we're accomplishing this in many areas of our life, we feel fulfilled. If we achieve lasting change, that defines our legacy. After explaining the 7 qualities to people and giving a few examples from real life, most people find that meaning, value, success, fulfillment, etc. are fairly intuitive to understand, so I'm not going to spend more time on these in Book 1. The next video will cover the concept of emergence, which explains other concepts such as something being a greater good, something being more than the sum of its parts, and how the big answer explains why one would altruistically sacrifice their life for something bigger. It also starts to explain spirituality and spiritual experiences. I'll see you there, and in the meantime, do good smart.